What's going on, guys? It's William2K here, and we are back in Stoneblock 3. Now, between episodes, I went ahead and made a bunch of controllers, got them set up. We ran our wire all the way through from all of our stuff over there. We haven't yet connected it. It's only ran to here. And this episode, we'll be finishing this off and starting power so that we have a mod to actually power that monstrosity. Another thing we did is we overhauled this room a little bit. We now have a dedicated blower towards gray and a dedicated blower towards red. I was finding that really the things were backing up and it was hard to do both at the same time. We moved our door over here. I cleaned up the cables a lot, introduced ender chests. There's some black dye in there as we were running out of room and, well, I didn't want to hold on to it. And then over here, I cleaned this up a little bit as well. So everything's a bit nicer back here. And then obviously there's our red concrete ready for export. And here is an ME smart cable that's ran all the way to this controller, which I need to make sure to set to priority 1000. So the next thing on the agenda is to go ahead and start with ME. And I'm going to try to explain applied energistics as best I can. I don't even know a lot about it myself, but I know enough to get by. And so everything has channels in this mod. The controller has channels. These smart cables have channels. These have 8. These thick ones have 32. In the ME controllers, I believe every side of the ME controller can output 32. So this object I have, the ME P2P tunnel, when we place this down, this takes up one of those channels on the network. And so this one that has 32 goes into here. All right, so this is one channel. And then if we put another one down, let's say over here, we can link these two together and come out. But because it's linked through this one channel, when it comes out, it's also 32. So along this dense cable in the middle, it says 0 of 32 channels at the top. If we use these, we can run 32 of these. So whatever 32 times, well, 32 is, that's how many we can run. So for starters, the first thing I want to do is go ahead and surround these all around this, which is going to give us tons of channels. And at the moment, we probably won't even be able to use them all. I just want to go ahead and get it started, and later as time goes on, if I can get down there, we will slowly plug more and more of these in. I just want to make sure to have them so that we're not limited later by our lack of P2P. So the next step after we have these, which I'm gonna save 3 for now, we can always make more as we need them, is to get them all linked up. So we wire them all in, making sure to use cable anchors so that they don't connect to the sides of our terminal in any way. And then run them into here with 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 8 can go along there. So these bottom ones actually, I'm gonna hold on to for now, as they aren't particularly required. And we also won't have enough channels to support that, because this now has 7 on it, and when it touches this, it puts 7 into there. So that being said, each time we connect another one of these, which we are out of cables, so let me get a few more of those crafted up real quick. And there we go, we have another stack. So what I was saying was, each one of these is going to carry 7. We're going to run it down, and so 7 times 4 is 28. So right now we have 28 of these that we can run. Now we can obviously do more. So for example, I could put one here, put them on this inside face here, and we've now added, let's make sure to anchor that as well, because if we have any of these connect, it'll mess up the entire logic that we're going for. That's another connection we can't have happen. So they'll just connect to the left right there. All right, so let me head back up and get a little overview. So each one of these that leads into this line now has 8, When it hits this line, it sends 8 down, so 32 in total. Eventually, when we use the rest of this thing and make it so that it's not just the bottom ring being used, we're gonna have to run more of these thick cables down the middle. We honestly might just split it half and half, or even 4 ways. But for now, this will work. The next problem with this solution is we aren't really making a lot of power. So in the beginning, even though I just explained this entire system and how to set it up and yada yada, we can't support that. So I'm going to break these 2 controllers, or actually just to go a touch further, I'll break these 4 controllers to better explain it. So then we just have this one strip, and when we send power to this one strip, it will now only power this. So we still have 8. It's just a little cheaper. I could even knock off these corners if I wanted to. So we have this one, and it links down to here into another ME controller. And so the reason for this is sending 32 channels down, but this can only send 32. So if we add a controller, that's another 32 channels on every side of the controller. And so now that we have this, our next goal is to run one of these dense smart cables. We're choosing to do dense particularly in this case because it's running from our main room here to the rest of our base area over here. And we don't quite know how many things will be connecting. So if we run this, it's a good starting point. So let me go ahead and get these last few cables crafted, and we'll be back to see, well, I guess it's completed. This still needs power, but we'll get to that shortly as well. All right, and we're back. So while I was gone, I crafted some more cables, got that line almost finished, and crafted a blank memory card. So right now this is offline, obviously. And so the first thing that we need to do is supply it with power. So I'm just gonna use a standard flux point here. So let's jump on down and select my network. And there we go. We can see it's using intermittent in and out, but not a whole lot. And it's only powering these 3. But these also will be getting power shortly as well. Our biggest issue is this thing needing power, because all of this is connected into that. And so the way that we manage that is inside of this mod, there are cables called quartz fiber cables. We're just going to grab like 3 out. And what these do is they only transfer power. So if I were to place one here and then run 2 smart cables down, there we go. And now as you can see, 32 of 32 channels are online, all of those. And well, quite frankly, that's using a whole lot more power than we wanted. So let's knock off these. And there we go. So now we're using quite a bit less. It's only using 16, and we're all powered up to go. And notice how these aren't lit up. So basically, the moment that I connect this, we should see at least 1 light from our tree farm. So let's go ahead and put that down. And yep, 1 of 32 channels online, which is that one. So now our next step is to use our memory card and to shift right click here, and it creates a channel. This frequency is 417E, and it has that little pattern. And now we run our frequency card all the way over to our automation room here. And as we can see, I've already linked a quartz fiber cable up to this ME controller. And so our next step is to put if I could get it to face the right way around, an ME P2P here, and right click on it and load that configuration, and then connect it all with a smart cable. And then we should see, hopefully, our 9 storage buses are now on the network. And this should be linked, and that's sending 1 along that line. which that one is the P2P. So if we run back here, we will actually see 2 on that, since it's very smart about managing that network connection. We're not sending the other one that way. So yeah, 2 of 32. And so our next step is to, well, get this crafting terminal. And if we take it and connect it on over here, let's just say this right here, we should be able to open it up and see our farm resources at least. All right, so if my hunch is correct, we actually need an ME storage bus to be located over here. It's not good enough to just transfer the channels. Actually, or the other option is to remove that entirely and to just use a dense cable here. How could I forget? The actual solution is to place a, let's do this. We're gonna do a smart cable off the bottom here. And then we put another P2P tunnel down and run this smart cable into the P2P up and around to there. Now we take our memory card and we will go ahead and make another channel, set that there. And so now everything should be contained on this top one here. This one was what I was connecting to, which was a mistake as we went to try to contain everything. Now when we open this, our wood is not going to be here anymore. We can open it, it's not here. So for that, we actually want to take another P2P and run it all the way over to that side of the system. So let me grab a third P2P channel and run all the way back over here. Put a third P2P and right click there. With just a standard smart cable, we see one running along there. And now let's run back on over and make sure that we can see our wood, and now everything's linked up. So the big controller is the one that all of our stuff is on, but the little one down below is purely just to split the channels out into more so that we can easily send it other places. And our oak logs are there. We see our 4,000 netherite, a whole bunch of iron, our dyes, etc., etc. So there we go. We've now linked all the rest of our base up to this single ME system, so we no longer have to run across the map to do things anymore. Another thing that I was doing between episodes was this here. So the crystal growth chamber with Fluix crystals. You take a Fluix crystal and you put it into the crusher, and after about 18 seconds, the crusher will finally output Fluix dust. You then take the Fluix dust, combine it with sand, and get a Fluix seed. When you throw it in water for 20 minutes, it will turn into the Fluix crystal, and then you can repeat the process again, or you can throw it in this crystal growth chamber as long as you're giving it power, and it will grow the crystals for you for basically free. I mean, it takes a little bit of power, but that's all. It's currently unconnected from the network, so I need to add that back. But otherwise, it should be good to go. Same with the crusher. I like them being next to my ME network as, well, one, it was convenient, but two, it was a very easy way to get Fluix crystals in order to make this controller. And now that we have this, we have a couple of options. The first option is we can immediately go into power, as I'm sure if we go on upstairs, our power is probably not the best. I don't suppose we're losing it. Oof. Well, as I say that, I realize we are, in fact, very much so losing it. Okay, after a little bit of thinking, I came up with a reasonable solution. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to create a new network, and we're going to call this, we'll call it Crucial. And I'm going to make it red, and there we go. So we're going to switch this one to Crucial, which now means it has no power. But if we go on up to the top where we have our system, and we change this one up here to Crucial as well, there we go. So now we should start seeing this restored, and everything is well in the world. You would think that our next way would be to, well, generate power, but with power, it's a lot of crafting. We have to, first off, for a reactor, we have to more or less start with basics, because we have to make our energizing rods and so forth and so on, which, I mean, here's 3 items that aren't vanilla, that all have their own recipes, that are all different, that we'd have to craft individually. Or we can get started on Applied Energistics Autocrafting. So let me go ahead and get a few things crafted, and we'll be back to set it up. Alrighty, and we're back for our next steps. So now that we have crafted a few things, we have 8 4K crafting storages, 8 crafting coprocessors, 2 crafting monitors, and then for the other side of things, 5 pattern providers, and 4 molecular assemblers. We also got this advanced pipe upgrade from somewhere, I don't even know. Picked it up. And then we're also going to use our cable to expand this a little bit for our pattern access terminal and our encoding terminal. This will let us view our molecular assemblers through the pattern provider, and this one here will let us make patterns. So the next step is to set these things up. Eventually we're going to have hallways here, but as we're just getting started, I don't really think it's a bad idea just to put it in the wall. So we need molecular assemblers and pattern providers. So if you are unfamiliar, how this works is the pattern providers, which all of this is offline right now for whatever reason. So basically, the molecular assemblers are your crafting tables. You can provide them with a recipe themselves, and they will just craft it to their heart's content. Or you can put them next to a pattern provider, which provides patterns. In this setup, we have 4 crafters, so that means we can craft 4 things at once. And we also have 5 of these, which means we can store a total of 45 patterns. Now, normally it would be a good idea to have 2 of these for the amount of co-processing and crafting units, but as I'm just getting started and just want to get a few things online without using a lot of power, we're going to use just 1 for now. And in that same note, actually, since we do have the 8 channels here, I was planning to put 1 over here and 1 over here, but since we already have this set up over here, I am just going to take advantage of this and put our other crafting things over here. And so these, we want to put down our crafting units and then our co-processing units, and in the middle a crafting monitor, and that will solidify. And so these are in charge of actually carrying out the crafting orders. And yeah, there we go. It only took 1 channel, so I was correct. Let's run the other one out right here. And let's make sure to match this up. Purple in the corners, yellow in the middle. Not back there. Yellow in the middle, and a crafting monitor there. Now we could put more of these crafting coprocessors in the middle. But this way we can look over here and kind of see what's being crafted. So the next step, now that we have all that set up, that should be running all the way along. See 1 channel there, 8 through there. The P2P makes it 1 less. And then here, as we can see, we have all 8 of these P2Ps feeding in. So that's why that one's all lit up. Anyways, back to what we were doing. The next thing we have to do is make blank patterns, which means we need quartz glass, and then we have to go in and make the patterns. But now we have 2 patterns, which means now we can go in here, put that there, and boom, we have a pattern. What in here might we need? Some quartz glass, boom. Put that in there too. And now we open up our pattern terminal. We put these 2 things in. We open up our regular terminal. And let's say I want 16 patterns. You click next. It says to make this, we're going to need all this. And you click start. Over here we can see them, and boom, already done. We open this up, and there are our 16 patterns pinned to the top. We can put this in here, and well, now we can autocraft. I can go in here and add in our cable recipe. I can add in our quartz recipe. I can add in our covered cable recipe. And then after that, our smart cables that we've been using, and even up to our dense cable, which is just 4 normal ones. And so now crafting the cables shouldn't be as much of an issue. I'm going to add a few more of these commonly used recipes, and we will be back to discuss our power mod that we'll be using. Alrighty, we added a few more in. We got some of these auto-crafted things such as cables, our slopes, drawers, the drawer upgrades, as well as the blocks needed, and a couple more AE. I want to do more, but I was looking at time and wanted to have a little sit-down discussion. I've the first few videos, I tried to make them more entertaining. I tried to do some cool editing to make it entertaining to people who really might not even be huge fans of Minecraft. And I ended up spending so much time editing that I felt I barely got to play the game, and that was releasing a video every 3 or 4 days. I have another one ready to go as I'm recording this one that's yet to be released. But I just don't like the throughput. So the future episodes are going to focus a little bit more on me learning and trying to teach y'all as I go through, instead of the cool montages. Of course, they'll still exist, and I'll have a little bit of fun with editing every now and then, but it'll definitely be a little bit less. That being said, though, next episode we're going to work on power. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this new format. Please leave a comment. Let me know if you did, if you didn't. If you think I suck at Minecraft and should stop playing, then let me know that too. But thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. See you later.